With New Year's Eve around the corner, I thought I would show you what makeup look I'm going to be wearing, and it's kind of based around makeup that looks really nice in pictures, that photographs well in flash photography, and also makeup that lasts a really long time, especially when you're dancing on the dance floor and you're getting a bit sweaty. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and all dupes and alternatives and all that kind of jazz will be listed on my website, which I will link up below. So the first thing I do whenever I'm applying quite a bit of makeup to my skin is moisturize. And this is just to make sure that like my foundation sits nicely on top of my skin and everything still looks glowing, even though I still want my skin to look a bit matte and not shiny. So the La Roche-Posay Tolérane is incredible. I absolutely love this moisturizer. Same goes for my lips. Don't want them to be all flaky. I want them to be all like kissable for New Year's Eve. So I used the La Roche-Posay Cytoplast, I think that's what it's called, but it is really good stuff. It sorts out chapped lips in like half an hour to an hour. It is incredible. So when I want my makeup to last a really long time, I always make sure I wear primer. So today I felt a bit shiny, so I went in with my NYX Shine Killer primer just first before any foundation, and this really evens out the skin tone. It has such a nice velvety texture, but this one, if you're not as shiny as me today, the Hourglass Mineral Veil is also a lovely option. So I take a tiny bit of the primer, maybe like smaller than a pea size amount, and spread that all throughout my T-zone and just take that through the center of my face where I get a bit oily. Then I go in with my foundation, and this is the key because this is where you get that kind of flashback face when the pictures come off and the flash come out, and then you end up looking like a bit of a white ghost. There's an ingredient in foundations called titanium dioxide, which you kind of want to avoid, otherwise known as SPF. And obviously my photo ready foundation is Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, which I absolutely love, and I've just buffed this on with a Sephora Pro Airbrush 55 foundation brush all over my skin. It gives a really nice glow to the skin. It blends in so seamlessly and it lasts absolutely hours, even when you're sweating away on the dance floor like I've been. If I'm spending quite a bit of time doing my foundation like I am now, I'll also take my damp beauty blender sponge after I've already buffed it in and just kind of bounce it around the edges and along my chin and that kind of thing to make sure it looks really flawless and seamless, because this gives the most beautiful finish to it. Then after my base is done, I'm going to go in with concealer and all that jazz later, but I'm just going to go straight onto the eyes. And first of all, I want my eyeshadow to last the whole evening, so I'm going to obviously start with the primer, and I've used the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer, but a fantastic dupe for this is the L'Oreal Magic Decrease eyeshadow primer, and I just run that all over my lids, even up to my eyebrows, just to make sure that my eyeshadows last all evening, and they kind of apply much more pigmented and vibrant when I use an eye primer before. And then I go in with my little sticky note just from the corner of my eye to the corner of my brow to provide a nice clean line for any eyeshadow and prevent any fall down. I've written a whole post on these, which I will link below, why I use them and everything, because they have so many fantastic uses to them. I then take a nice flat brush. This is just one I've got in the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette recently, and I actually spray it with a setting spray. I've just used my favourite one from Omorovita just to make it a bit wet so that the eyeshadow appears more vibrant. And the first eyeshadow I use is this MAC pigment called Pink Opal, and I love using a pigment because the shadow just looks much more vibrant and luxurious than a regular eyeshadow. So I just pack this on the first half of my lid, staying below the crease. So then I take my best friend Mr. MAC 217 brush, which is the best eyeshadow brush ever, and I dip this in a new shade for me. This is Star Violet, and you guys told me a while ago in my USA beauty haul that I would love the shade, and I picked it up and I'm using it and I absolutely love it. So I have you guys to thank for this shade, but I'm just sweeping this along the kind of outer corner of my eye, bringing it up a little bit just above my socket line and really blending it in with the MAC 217. And then to further blend that in, I'm going to use another clean MAC 217 and the shade Wedge, which is a really nice crease shade, and blend all the edges and really make sure that everything's really nice and seamless looking. A really good dupe for the two shades I just mentioned is in this Maybelline quad. This is the Mad for Mauve quad. These two shades are basically exactly the same as the two I just mentioned. Then after removing my sticky note, I take this really nice flat thin brush from Kiko. This is the number 210, and a matte black eyeshadow. This is just Carbon from MAC, and I press the matte shadow into my eyelashes just to make them look a bit thicker. I don't want anything too much much of a harsh line. I just want a little bit of definition around my eyelashes, and I kind of wing that out a little bit at the outer corner again as well, and blend that in with a 217, and just keep building up this black shadow just to make it a really nice soft sultry line. This is a nice little tip I learned to make your lashes appear a bit thicker and longer as well. I'm then going to take my NYX The Curve eyeliner and press that into the root of the lashes. I want it to be really subtle but still have a little bit of a difference, and this will just kind of help when I apply my fake lashes, make them blend better with my eyes. Then I go ahead and curl my lashes with my Shurumura eyelash colours, and then apply my favourite fake lashes ever, which are the Ardell Demi Wispies, because they have really nice fluttery look and they go out at the outer corners, giving you that really nice lift and a cat eye look. Then on my lower lashes I use these eye crayons from By Terry, and these are hands down the longest lasting eye crayons of all time. This one has actually lasted throughout an entire 9-hour flight before, and this is the 11 Beyond Gold shade, which I've just taken in my inner corner just to really brighten things up, and this beautiful gold shade looks so pretty against the eyeshadow I have on the top of my eyes. And then along my actual bottom lash line I've used the shade number 4, which is a really nice bronze with a bit of shimmer in it, and I've just swept that along and blended it a little bit. To enhance my bottom lashes I've used this little tiny wand of the Clinique Bottom Lash Mascara, and whenever I'm going out and there'll be pictures taken, I always make sure I put mascara on my bottom lashes because that really enhances them and opens up the eyes. And then for brows I have my 2 little trusty brow duos here, and this is the Anastasia Brow Wiz, which I just use to fill in any gaps, and then I also have the Maybelline Brow Drama Sculpting Mascara just to help keep my eyebrows in place and make sure those hairs don't go like flying about places. So for my concealer I really wanted to do a kind of Kim Kardashian highlight and contoured kind of effect and really use my concealer to brighten up my whole face. So for that I used my trusty Clé de Peau concealer stick, and I used the shade Ivory in this, and I just swipe this all along my eyes from the inner corner all the way to the corner of my brow and bring that down in a triangle shape just below my nose. And a really good dupe for this, by the way, is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealer, which I also really like. And then to blend all that hefty concealer in, I actually use my damp little pink sponge, the Beauty Blender, and really press that into the skin and really take my time and just kind of mesh it and blend it, not like drag or rub, just really dab and blend, and that just blends it so seamlessly into the skin. It looks quite scary in the beginning, but once it's finished it just gives a really nice lift and sculpt to the face. Then after all that concealer comes powder, and when I look for a powder in this kind of situation I want something that will photograph really nicely again, so not have an SPF in it. I want something that will kind of help lock my foundation and my concealer in place but without overly mattifying, and I want something to add a little bit of luminosity at the same time. So I have 2 options for this one, and the first one is actually a loose powder, and I really like using loose powder because I feel like after a long time it doesn't cake up or separate on the skin, and this one photographs beautifully as well, and this is the Chanel loose powder. But I also love the Bourjois Healthy Balance powder, but this one is more of a kind of touch-uppy one because it's not actually loose, so I decided to go with the Chanel loose powder today. So for applying the powder I took my little damp Beauty Blender sponge, took some powder into the lid of the Chanel pot and dabbed that Beauty Blender into the powder, and then dabbed the powder onto the skin. I didn't drag or rub or anything like that, I just kind of pressed it so it really kind of seals everything underneath in place and helps it last really long. Next, to add in a little bit of a cheekbone, and I used the NYX matte bronzer for this one, and this is really nice because it has a little bit of cool tones in it, a little bit of warmth, so it kind of warms up the face, bronzes it up a bit, but still gives you that shadow that looks like you've got a bit of a cheekbone going on. And I used the Real Techniques contour brush for this, just from the top of my earlobe and just bringing that down, really buffing and blending that into the skin, and then I blended that in a bit more with the Sephora Pro Airbrush foundation brush just to make sure there's no harsh edges or anything like that. I didn't want to add any blush because I have quite a bit going on with my eyes, but I did want to add a bit of a highlight, and I used my favourite shimmery champagne colour, which is the Kevyn Aucoin Celestial Powder in Candlelight, and I just swept that all along the tops of my cheekbones with an Illamasqua brush. You can see this just adds such a beautiful sun-kissed glow to the skin. And then lastly is for the lips, and I started off by using a lip liner, which really helps makes your lips look much fuller in pictures, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat, which I love because it helps my lipstick last longer as well. I wanted a bit of a baby pink nude lip, so I went for my Chanel Rouge Allure in number 42. You can see this is really well loved. I absolutely adore the shade and I think it looks great no matter what time or what look. And then I went in with my favourite lip gloss ever, which is the Chantecaille Brilliant Gloss in Lucky, and the golden shimmer in this really helps the lips look much more plump as well. So this is the finished look that is now ready for some serious picture taking to be done that don't even need an Instagram filter. It's also ready for some serious sweat dancing on the dance floor. But I hope you've enjoyed this makeup look, and let me know if you try it out. You can tweet me or at me pictures on Instagram. I would love, love, love to see them. I hope you have a really good New Year's Eve, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!